Alrighty, hello every folks, and good morning. Hopefully this time around we don't have any more audio issues. This is actually the third time I'm doing this particular video because for whatever reason, stuff just kind of keeps randomly chipping and chopping in the background. But anyway, hope that everything is right this time. So welcome to another episode of Know Your Unit Reborn. Today is going to be about the Songstress, a very weird class that oftentimes, okay, for some reason I don't really get this. For some reason, people criticize this class as being weak, which is bizarre to me because they're basically a magical berserker and basically one of the best kind of AoE attackers in the game. Yeah, their songs are a complete hard 50-50 and oftentimes will suck in very bizarre ways. But, yeah, this is a pretty fantastic class. Now, that being said, on this particular playthrough, Yuria died because I turned her into a shaman, and that's what they do if you set them on AI and walk away for 2 seconds. But what we've got here is the generic version of the Songstress, and that is going to be the Pumpkinhead. For those that didn't know, yeah, you can just go ahead and make gourd backup singers. They're fantastic. Now, the Songstress is a class that you get access to after completing Coda 1, and she'll come with class marks, come with a few songs, as well as the Pendiero. Now, interestingly enough, she is actually kind of one gear swap away from being a very unique thing that this class can do. And that would essentially be one of the best elemental coverages without overlap of any class out there. It's a very oddly specific thing, but it's oddly functional. Also, I just noticed I forgot to actually swap out a lot of this stuff here since the last time I attempted this video. My bad. Here, let's go ahead and swap you out for something like this and continue on. So what is special about these? Both these weapons are pretty weak. Yes, but as always, elemental finishers effectively are their own animal. Even if you are throwing them out of a weak weapon, they're still going to hit pretty darn fantastically. So effectively what we're seeing is somebody that's got access to air punishes, as well as ice punishes, as well as water punishes from the hammer side of things, as well as earth punishes and fire punishes off of the harmonic blast and torrential rhapsody coming from instruments. As well as a stop move, as well as a multi-hitter if they happen to have run crits. Now, the thing is, normally when it comes to a lot of other units, they might have a potential issue when it comes to maintaining MP, but just like the Rune Fencer and Valkyrie and all of that, effectively they are able to cast for free, courtesy of all of their instruments coming with songs already built in, as well as having access to Meditate 2, which allows them to more or less keep functioning at all times. Now, I'm not going to say that this is the perfect end-all be-all way to run these guys, but this is a nice little kind of convenient way to run a defensive AI for them, considering that they'll have the availability of all of their finishers at different times, and additionally they'll typically have some answer for every situation. Now, like many AI things in Reborn, they won't be making use of these songs, unfortunately, although possibly fortunately, depending on your situation. Honestly, it's funny because if the AI could use these guys' songs in an easier way, the AI would never be allowed to be entrusted with a Tanbor. We'll get to that in just a second. But basically, if you're running them with AI, just go ahead and give them another kind of a weapon thing here for coverage or something. Realistically, you don't need either of these skills. Now, let's actually go ahead and take a quick little step back here and discuss their weapon access, because everything about this class might seem a little bit weird, and I need to qualify that whole magical berserker thing I was talking about in just a sec here. It'll make sense once I'm done, but work with me here a second. So first and foremost, their weapon access is bizarre. We've got access to daggers, hammers, cudgels, whips, and instruments. Now, instruments are going to be their main one. The others are there as a bit of an extra, and if you're wondering what the deal is with this bizarro access, that's because these guys were actually a bit of an artificer back in PSP. So their entire loadout for equipment, skills, and whatever else in the PSP version was, interestingly enough, a spellcaster with no spell access. All they had was these things over here, and you could basically just operate them off of the scrolls in that game, but if you wanted to get a bit more interesting with it, effectively what you do is you'd go get several of your like spell-casting daggers and things, and then you'd go slap them on there, and then suddenly, hey look, you know, they're this wizard that entirely has to function off spell slots like it's D&D or something, and honestly, that's pretty fun. It's a pretty cool setup. But that being said, This time around, they don't really need a lot of that. So, like, if you're running them just kind of in your full control, honestly, Pendiero as well as Caldia is pretty alright. Very good defensive setup. They're going to have parry on there. They're going to have a lot of free casts on there, especially something like Ardent Conga here is one of their better spells. And overall, again, it's just a very useful kind of AoE spammer type of unit. But if you really want to see these guys be something that you appreciate in the long term, you're going to want something like the Tanbor over here. So this is, as far as I'm concerned, their best weapon. They get it. You basically get the Songstress as well as most of their weapons, and as well as all of their spells in the same place. All of it's out of San Bronza. All of it is very convenient to get, more or less. Drop rates on these are pretty fantastic. And what's funny is even if you look at drop tables, it's like, oh, 5-10%. Yeah, and then there's like 5 enemies on the map that drop it. You have a lot of chances to get these instruments. It's pretty easy to get a hold of most of them, and I'll be completely honest here. They're not made equally whatsoever. Like, the Bolon is probably one of the most hilariously why would you bother instruments in the game, bar none. Weakening Droppo is, like, okay in some situations, but realistically you're going from the one-handed to the two-handed version here. It's one of their cheaper spells here, so again, it seems weird that you'd go ahead and use that, especially considering that the Pendiero that the class comes with initially has Ardent Conga. Which, you know, let's just go ahead and take a quick peek at these spells here real quick, because they are weird. They're just a weird selection of spells. It is the most 50-50 selection of spells in the entire game, okay? So, let me explain. So, Ardent Conda, I always want to call it Ardent Conda, like it's a type of snake or something. Ardent Conga here is going to give Spellcraft as well as raise everyone's MP in the area. It is probably one of the best spellcaster setup moves in the entire game. It is insanely good. Basically just, here you go. Here's the MP for one basic cast, as well as Spellcraft. Go nuts. Go kill something, right? At the same time, they've got access to Stirring Fulcore, which is going to only give Healcraft. Why does it not also give MP? Fuck clerics, I guess. I don't know. But then we go to Poised Arabesque, which is, again, probably going to be easier to get than that Bolon. And it's going to heal both HP and MP. Once again, great potential song here, and potentially very useful. Unfortunately, extremely expensive, meaning that you probably want to only cast this from the instruments. The costs of these abilities are bizarre. Again, 35 MP to go use Healcraft, when you can just go use an item for that, is odd. When it comes to Ardent Conga, great, fantastic. That's great value. Spellcraft plus MP for everybody. Wonderful. Weakening Droppo basically is going to be a lot like the dance that the Swordmasters get, just way less convenient to land. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and throw that out the window. Actually, out of curiosity, how much is... It's the exact same cost. It's basically the exact same ability for all intents and purposes, in both RT and MP cost, as well as range. Actually, no, I think does it have more or less range? Let's see here real quick. It's slightly wider range. Alrighty then. So it's a slight improvement that you'll never use. Great. Now here's the thing. When you get this, we're talking about post-game time, right? This means that unless somebody has been fully dedicated into absolutely dumping mind, more than likely they're going to need Spell Strike in order for these abilities to hit, meaning that you're going to want Black Lizard Powder, meaning that the AI will not be able to boost itself naturally to make these have a chance of hitting, which I guess is fine because they won't use them anyway. But then at the same time, like, again, you're dedicating an item slot. Weaken is something that your Swordmaster can just go and do by themselves. They have the time. They can keep doing their counterattacks. This is technically an improvement that somehow manages to be a downgrade in my eyes. Like, personally, I keep it around as just something on the list, but I would say this one's a solid 50-50. It's situational. Weaken is an amazing debuff, and in most cases, I know I personally would rather just not use it. But either way, at least not on the Songstress. On the Swordmaster, absolutely. They can get in the fray and do all of that kind of thing. Songstress technically can also get in the fray, and arguably, in the case of Yuria, would be able to fly, but they also would not have access to as defensive of a load out there. But anyways, again, it depends. It's one of those ones that it's hard to know how to feel about. However, it's very easy to know how to feel about taunting Mambo as well as Somber Kachera. We throw these right in the trash because there's no possible time for you to realistically ever use these. So taunting Mambo gives a stagger, which counters dodge, which the AI does not use. Somber Kachera does the same thing for sidestep, which the AI will not be using. Yeah, neither of these are useful, especially considering that the only time you're going to run into accuracy issues in this version of the game is going to be in the early game. Realistically, by the time you get this class, no one's hitting under 100% unless, you know, there's a smoke screen going off or something, in which case only taunting Mambo has the most oddly specific use case in the world. And if this was 10 MP, you still would be better off going and just doing nothing than actually using it. In this case, it's 30 MP, 16 recovery time, just hard no. Somber Kachera, you'll never find a use for this, realistically speaking. Basically, something would have to be hit with False Flight to actually even kind of bother with this. No, those are just plain awful. Now, that being said, we've basically got 2 complete no's, we've got 2 complete yeses, and then we've got 2 that are kind of like, I guess if you squint hard enough, we can find a use case for it. And then we have the best healing ability in the entire game as their final spell here, or their final song, which is Escalating Sanit. Which is hilarious because, again, like, compared with all of the other ones, this one blows everything else out of the water to such a hilarious degree that it's not even funny. Like, 5 uses is not even necessary. This could have been 1, and it would still be the best healing ability in the game. This is going to give regeneration to everybody in that area. Remember that regeneration in this version is 10 to 30%, depending on speed, recovery per round. So that is insanely good, especially if you're running a lot of heavy units. If you, for example, accidentally end up buffing an enemy cockatrice or something, you're probably better off just waiting for the debuff to disappear before you try to even kill it. Like, it is extremely quick recovery in this version. It's something, again, that you can just get going right at the very beginning of the fight. And the funny part is that with something like Echoing Voice, this is a buff that can potentially last most of the fight. So either way, really, really, really good ability. As far as I'm concerned, the Tanbor is probably the best weapon for these guys. I just really wanted to show off that hammer and instrument coverage earlier. Realistically speaking, I would say probably just you know, maybe stick with a different element for or different weapon type for coverage, and then just, you know, instruments, meditate, echoing voice. Now you might be wondering, wait a minute, why am I not putting resounding voice on there? Surely this matters. Resounding voice, as odd as this sounds, is basically only useful for weakening Jirabo. This is an ability that can potentially screw you over really bad with something like Escalating Sanit, because remember, all of their songs are going to be based on, like, their personal location. So a lot of times you'll end up getting rushed down by things like cockatrices. Your recovery songs, they don't actually check whether somebody's friend or enemy. It's only the weakening ones that do. And so this basically means that, yeah, you might accidentally give regeneration to a bunch of very heavy units that can use it better than you can. So potentially a bit of a problem there. But you know, Recruit is a great one to keep on there as well. Still one of the best abilities in the game, right? Now, here's the thing. When it comes to their endgame weapons and things, they're not exactly slouches. Like, if we compare it with endgame swords and things like that, obviously something like the Relic Brynny would be a bit of an exception. But compared with its peers at the time, there's only about a 20 attack difference. That is not major. In fact, it's surprisingly close to the Notas. Like, it's a really, really solid weapon overall. Not to mention, it's got a element that's pretty useful, especially in San Bronza. It has that free spellcasting ability on there. It has counterattack, which is very important for generating more MP for their finishers. And remember, their finishers are not only reasonably quick, but they're also in an AoE. They're all kind of self-directed AoEs there. So typically what I like to do is match one of them, like for example Harmonic Blast with the wind element of Squash Thrust over here. That 10% extra damage, pretty useful in most situations. Against earth targets, they're just straight up deleted. And then you still have that other elemental punish right there. Effectively, these two are Armageddon, but stronger. that effectively, rather than just deleting one target, they're going to be deleting in an AoE, plus they also have that element kind of association with them. If there's something that is directly a threat to them that you need to deal with right now, Forced Fermata has a really good chance to stop them in place. And then if you happen to have picked up a lot of crit cards and just need to rush down one guy, Aggressive Rendition might be exactly what you're looking for, though realistically these two will handle the job in most situations. 60 MP is definitely not on the cheapest side of things, but something like like an MP boosting item can definitely get the job done for them. So that's the thing. They're effectively looking to run forward, rush down, land somewhere, and then spam these AoEs as much as they possibly can. It's something that is definitely a bit unusual as far as classes go. It's definitely a bit of an odd duck as far as just kind of what a class would be built around. But remember that the Songstress has always been a bit of a weirdo. Back in PSP, again, they were straight up just an artificer. That their entire skill loadout was based around a bunch of skills for spells that they didn't have outside of their item slots. So this time around, effectively they're utilizing very similar things in order to potentially be a finisher spammer. Now, that also said, and pardon the random alarm going off, I just need to remind myself to do a thing. The other kind of funny note about all this is that when it comes to the songstress there, if you're wondering, wait a minute, what happened to all of those old items? They almost exclusively took away the abilities from those particular items that they used to be able to equip. You can still use things like Luminant Guards to go ahead and give them the ability to buff somebody with boon of swiftness. You can still use things like the Caldia or a staff or something like that. And funnily enough, if you wanted to use Pandero plus staff, you could see some really solid results there. But in general, what I've personally found is just giving them a big two-handed guitar and just having them whack the shit out of stuff is just, I mean, it just works. Like, give them stinky sets, set them on AI, and they'll typically have a pretty good time just going and beating the hell out of things. Now, that does definitely fly in the face of their whole kind of using counterattack to build up MP thing, but it obviously depends on what you load them up with. You can make it work either way. Okay, so basically, the main benefit of this whole elemental AoE thing is for situations like this. Earth elements as well as fire elements get used pretty often in bulk, and so in this particular case, we're potentially seeing a, more or less unboosted pretty ridiculous numbers coming out of this guy. Now, this is obviously just this situation. There's going to be a lot of situations where you might potentially see potentially far better results. Like, I know in Palace of the Dead, I didn't have the Stinky set yet, so literally all I did was just load them up with a bunch of items, and then just kind of let them go nuts. And more often than not, they did the job just fine. You'd assume that this is a class that's generally pretty squishy or something like that, but it honestly survives reasonably well. I'm kind of thinking about, can they use any of these? I don't think so. Looks like they get access to Holy Crown. Do they? Yes. So they do get access to Holy Crown. They don't get access to some helmets. They do get access to these helmets, though, so that's at least something, though realistically they should probably just use the Wizard Hat in that situation. Armor-wise, they don't get access to too many armors, but they do get access to the Elemental Vests if you want to go ahead and cover for their weaknesses. So either way, there's that there as well, so we'll just go ahead and give them a Phoenix. As far as gloves go, that's kind of the interesting thing. Luminant Guards basically become their best in slot, more or less. As bizarre as that is, let's just go ahead and unequip all of these. But yeah, it's not the best loadout in the world as far as they go. Like, I honestly kind of miss the old Artificer setup here, but they do get access to some things still. Like, it was funny that the Hoarfrost Greaves used to actually give them the ability to go reduce accuracy back in the PSP version, but they're one of the ones that lost their ability. Here, I'm sure somebody's got to have a Holy Crown around. We can just go ahead and slap that on them real quick. But But yeah, so you can load them up with a bunch of relics, give them some pretty reasonably high armor, or stick with something like Alluring High Boots for the purpose of getting crits, because as you can probably imagine, physical ups plus crits with a AoE spammer build like this are absolutely nutty. But the nice thing is that they're able to get benefit out of both those cards in pretty much equal measure. So it's just a great thing to see there. Personally, again, my favorite use of these guys was just immediately at the start of the fight, turn on regeneration, then immediately go ahead and just set them on AI and watch them turn into a damage tornado. Right? Just send them off like the freaking Tasmanian devil. So, alright, anyways, I gotta get going. That's about that. That's all I had for today. So, yeah, that's kind of the Songstress. Definitely took a weird turn. Yeah, definitely, it's super weird. Like, this is one of those classes in particular that took a lot of very odd turns. Like, we had the PSP version that went Artificer. We had this version that went Magical Berserker. We had one vision that basically just kind of went full, like, I don't know, freaking pop star with them. It's just funny to see how all of them just went in totally different directions. And then we look at the classic version. It's like, what the hell's a Yuria? They don't exist. Oh, man. Anyway, all right, I gotta go. Y'all have yourselves a good one. Take care. Bye.